He was amazing. Kawhi in Game 6 in Dallas when we had a closeout game and got up early
Amazing.
and just willed you guys back into the game was one of the best performances. And Luka had some performances in that series as well, but the Kawhi's Game 6 was one of the best performances I've seen in boost.
Yeah, no, he's different too. Like he can turn that switch on real fast, man. He's different, really different. I wish, and a player like you, I wish that you had the opportunity to be around a player like him. You would enjoy a superstar like that. Really, you personally, you would definitely enjoy a person like that.
Just because there's no bullshit. It's just work.
No bullshit. Very professional. Very locked in on the game plan. Knows what's going on offensively and defensively. Very, very high Q. Doesn't take the shortcuts. Team everything. Winning everything. And I'm going to go give you buckets, and I'm going to go guard the best player on the end also.
Yeah. Does he talk to you guys? Because the joke with him is that he's a robot. But I assume behind the scenes, off camera, like he does talk to his teammates.
Man, we were really close. We still are. Like, I wore the Zubac jersey to the game. Hey man, fuck you to wear my why you didn't wear my jersey to the game? Shit like that. So yeah.
I was gonna ask.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, or Spotify, iHeartRadio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. You know what I'm saying? Hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. Get our updated content. Follow me on my Instagram, BJizzle, BJIZZLLE. Follow my co-host, Rick Masters23 at Rick Masters23. If you'd like to get a shirt, you know what I'm saying? $30 a pop for people inside San Diego or LA. $35 a pop for people outside of San Diego, LA County, you know what I'm saying? Or if you want to bless the podcast, you can do so. I'm going to put the link into the pinned comments, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it popping. All right, so check it out. I did a video yesterday pertaining to Pat Bev, former point guard for the Los Angeles Clippers, currently with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I did a video about the interview he had with JJ Reddick on his podcast, Basketball Podcast, one of the best podcasts. If you guys have not heard it, I can put that in the description box as well. Y'all can check it out. Great interview, about 50 minutes. I pulled out a few key points from that interview and kind of, detailed it and explained it, elaborated it. But I want to talk about an area I did not touch on, and that was what Pat Bev had to say about his former teammate, Kawhi Leonard. Now, people know Kawhi Leonard is the small forward for the Los Angeles Clippers, superstar small forward. He has some interesting things to say about Kawhi Leonard I want y'all to hear. So let's roll it. So that's what he had to say about Kawhi Leonard, right? Very detailed, about a minute and a half. Spoke about Kawhi Leonard in two separate instances. And I thought it was necessary that we point this out. The reason why I found it so interesting, because for a long time, people really don't get a chance to get close to Kawhi Leonard. The masses don't really get the chance to see what Kawhi Leonard is like up and close, because he's private. He doesn't really like to disclose his information, his personal business. So when you get information or a source like Pat Bev, who's been his teammate for the last two seasons, you gotta kind of take that all in, right? So he was very specific about what Kawhi Leonard was, a no nonsense guy, hard worker, team first. He's a killer. He's different, all this stuff, and he even said JJ Reddick, he would enjoy playing with a person like JJ Reddick, and it speaks not just how he is as a basketball person, but how he is as a person. But what's so funny is the media has made it its business to somewhat try to make it seem like Kawhi Leonard does not communicate with his teammates and he's not a team leader. Now, this is why I keep telling people that the media can be dangerous, because they control the narrative. If you listen to the media and like these TV sports shows every single day, like Undisputed, First Take, Speak for Yourself, First Thing is First, whatever sports show you watch, and you listen to enough times, it's going to start programming into your brain, and then you'll start believing what they're saying, unless you do research or unless you're in those circles where you actually know these players. Ever since Kawhi chose to go to the Clippers, Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. Since the whole thing with the Spurs, the media seemed to somewhat try to make it his business to try to turn on him. He got them kind of back on his side when they won a championship in Toronto. And then after they went through their little flummoxing with the Clippers, now the media is back against Kawhi right now. So um, you just gotta know who's who, man. You just gotta know what a player is by your own sentiments, not by what the media says. Based off what my sentiments are and what I believe, Kawhi, from what I've seen, is a person that leads by example. You don't have to be running your mouth all the time to be a great leader. It's not the loudest person in the room. You understand? Being a leader is about getting the people and your team to follow behind you and be able to follow your lead. If you look at the Clipper culture right now, you can say Kawhi Leonard has had an impact on that culture very heavily. From starting with bringing in Paul George from that sign and trade, from bringing in Serge Ibaka, who got traded to Milwaukee, Norman Powell, um, Ty Lue, you know what I'm saying? After the bubble, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George said they had to be more of a smarter team. I feel like that was a shot at Doc Rivers because Doc Rivers didn't make adjustments in the bubble. And that's how they lost to the Nuggets. They got Ty Lue there. He's able to make better adjustments on the go. So even how they keep their business in house, where the Clippers don't really say much about what's going on, that's a reflection on how Kawhi Leonard's personality is. That's how he moves. That's what Kawhi Leonard does. So he has an influence on that Clipper culture. Without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers are not talked about how they are because he's the reason they have televised games when he's playing. He's the reason why the Clippers are relevant to be talked about. He's the reason why that they can bring a championship to this team because of him, primarily. Not saying he's the only person, but primarily it's because of Kawhi Leonard. Next point I want to bring up. I think a lot of times the media wants players to be transparent and open up to them. You know, the LeBron Jameses, the Steph Currys, the Kevin Durant's, Giannis Antetokounmpos, etc. They want them to open up. And when they don't open up, then they try to pick at them and say little things and take little jabs and try to get them to react. You know what I'm saying? Because the media, these sports shows talk about these players all the time. So if they can't get an interview or if they can't get nothing out of them, they'll try to make up things as they go to try to get a reaction out of players. It works with Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant he responds to pretty much everything. He doesn't have a problem with it because he says he's just responding to what's said to him. That's perfectly fine. LeBron James loves to be in the spotlight. Steph Curry, he has to be the people's champ. He has to always be in the spotlight because that's just his demeanor, his aura, his energy. Um, Giannis Antetokounmpo being from a different country, he's taking it all in being in America. So he has no problem being transparent with whoever and talking to media and having interviews, stuff like that. Kawhi looks at his business like, basketball and my personal life are different. And I don't have to explain myself to anybody but the people in my circle, my family, my friends, my teammates. That's all I have obligations to. Everything else, everybody else is optional. I'm not going to speak when you want me to speak. I'll speak when I want to speak. And I think that the media does not like that because they think of it as, who do you think you are? Da, da, da. So for over the years, they'll say stuff like, oh, Kawhi Leonard is not transparent or he doesn't speak. No, he doesn't speak to you. He's not obligated to speak to you in the media. But as far as you heard from what Pat Bev said, he's a great teammate. I've heard Paul George say the same thing. I've heard Ivica Zubac said the same thing. Ty Lue, Lou Kennard, all of his teammates, Serge Ibaka have said the same thing. Kawhi Leonard is a great teammate, great guy, great player. So the media can really destroy your image if you allow it. But for Kawhi's sake, he doesn't let none of that get to him. He goes out there and plays basketball, and he doesn't worry about nobody what they have to say about him. He's going to continue to move how he wants to move, and I think that's very admirable trait to have because a lot of people can't block out all that nonsense. It's hard to block it out, but one of the reasons I think Kawhi Leonard is able to do that because he doesn't have social media. He doesn't have social media, so he doesn't allowed it to affect him. So that's how he's able to stay laser focused. So I think Kawhi, to me, would be a great teammate. Because if Pat Bev, everything he's saying was true, which I'm 100% sure it is, he's a no-nonsense guy. He's all about the work. He's a team guy. He's a beast on the court. He's a great friend, and he seems to have a sense of humor. Why wouldn't I want to play with that? And he's gonna make it the environment not all about him. So what's the problem? Because he doesn't speak to the media and doesn't give them all his information, personal business. He's somewhat of a cancer man. Get up out of here. I just had to put that point out because I think people need to understand that just because the media says something 100 times don't make it true. Actually, a lot of times it's not true. They're going by based off their own agenda and what they want to get their story out. So that's all I gotta say. Do y'all feel like Pat Bev had a good point? Do y'all feel like he made some sense with that interview? Do you think that Kawhi Leonard is a good player? Do you think he's a good teammate, or do you think he's still a selfish teammate? You know, I'm all open to all comments, you know what I'm saying? But that's all I gotta say. Follow us on our social media: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pull Up Basketball Podcast, Pull Up a Seat, Pull Up a Chair, Pull Up. Peace. Out here like swimwear.